And an official welcome to all of you attending our webinar today. My name is Craig Cannings again, and I am one of the co-founders here at VA Classroom, and it's a privilege to be here with you today, talking on a topic that is one that I'm very passionate about, one that has had an impact for me, both personally and professionally, and I hope that you will uh, I guess I hope the passion that I feel will be contagious. It will kind of be contagious through the cyber lines today. So our topic for today, and you'll see that the original event said 6 steps to building a profitable internet marketing platform. Well, in the last 24 hours, I added a 7th step that I had missed, and I'm realizing, oh, I can't miss out on that one. So look at that. We're 2 minutes into the webinar, and I'm already over delivering. So just kidding. So again, just a bit about me. Some of you have gotten to know me already if you've been around VA Classroom for a while. I started my career and my background and my training, graduate level work as a professional counselor. That is what I did for a number of years before I turned internet marketer and online trainer. And you might be wondering, what's the deal with the heart there on the screen? And well, I consider myself a professional counselor turned heart-centered internet marketer and online trainer. If you've been around VA Classroom for a while, you know that we lead, we're fairly bright people, with a few weaknesses here and there, but we definitely lead with our heart, and we love to provide value to our customers and our clients and our students. And so I would classify myself a heart-centered internet marketer. And I have met my share of heartless internet marketers in my years on the internet. In fact, I have been on the internet, working in the internet marketing space for 10 years. So I started way back in early 2003, working in a company with my brother-in-law. He had launched an online software development company. And at that time, I was working as a professional counselor, and I had a new opportunity, a new job that I had applied for, and I got the job. And then at the exact same time, my brother-in-law kind of pitched this opportunity that was totally different than anything I had ever done. I've always been a pretty good communicator and things like that, but I didn't know anything about the internet. And so I faced this fork in the road, and I realized that as much as I loved counseling and I loved helping people, I thought, it might be time to make a switch. And also at that time, we were just starting to have our family, and it was an opportunity to move home and start this virtual life that was totally counterintuitive to anything I'd ever experienced before. And so I took the road less traveled 10 years ago, and I am so glad that I made that decision because it was a close one. I came close to saying, no, that's too risky of an opportunity. I'm going to take the safe career position that I had been building up. And I'd done all my studies in that area, so it made sense that I would build that up. But you know what? In life, sometimes the road less traveled can be the most rewarding, most painful at times, but also the most rewarding. And so that's what happened 10 years ago. And as I said, this isn't me. This is a photo, whatever, an image. But this is a representative of my life over the years, working virtually from home, not on the floor like this, usually in a desk. But I often have fond memories of having one of my children beside me on a chair, or bringing in their playpen when they were young so they could play around, and we could hang out together while I worked. And so, yeah, I loved those days. And so it's been a great blessing for me to be able to work from home. And I count myself privileged as I look at a lot of my corporate buddies who are slogging away with 2-hour commutes and long days, and they're making lots of money, but they're also it's coming at a time cost for them as well. So, but we won't get into that discussion today. All right, and this is actually, I thought I'd show you the real picture of me and my family. My wife's taken the picture, Kelly. So, unfortunately, she's not in the picture. But this is the gang. I have 5 girls, and we live on the west coast of Canada. And this is this is my pride and joy. This is why I do what I do every single day. So, all right, so let's get going to some the kind of the nitty gritty of what we're going to talk about today. So what is this picture of? You're looking at this picture of fairly attentive people listening to somebody. Well, back in 2004, I attended my very first internet marketing conference. As you recall, as I just said, I had joined the industry in 2003, and it was like a serious boot camp. It was like an intensive learning experience as I learned everything I could get my hands on related to internet marketing. And then I attended this conference, and I remember being so excited about it. It was in this beautiful hotel in San Francisco, and it was just, I think it was around April or May, so the weather was beautiful. I remember going to I wanted to listen to the first keynote because it was uh, a I think it was the CFO or CMO, Chief Marketing Officer for Home Depot, or I think it was a major company. And I remember getting there just so excited. I had my notepad and I was ready just to absorb everything this really talented guy had to share. And I remember, I wasn't quite in the front row. I wasn't like to that geek level, but I definitely probably was the third or fourth row. Uh, and so I had my notepad on my lap, and I was ready just to rock out some notes. And so this guy started, and literally might be a nice guy in his personal life, but he droned on with statistics and facts and stuff that didn't matter for 45 minutes. And I left that 45-minute session with a completely blank page. No, I'd actually written the topic, the title of his session, and his name, and that as far as I got. And I remember it was kind of an epiphany back then, because I remember saying to myself, man, I can really teach this internet marketing stuff. I know I'm early on, but I think I could do a better job than this guy did. And he's with a serious big brand, and he really did not offer a heck of a lot of value. And so it really, as I later in life got into this business VA Classroom, it really, that first experience helped kind of drive me to say, if we ever create a training program, or any training program, we're going to add value. We're not going to give fluff. And I felt like this session was fluff. And as an aside, the funny thing was I was with a couple colleagues that were, had flew down with me, and were in this ad tech conference. And I met up with them in the exhibitors hall, and they're like, dude, where were you, man? We're in the exhibitors hall, like getting deals done and making contacts. And I'm like, well, I was at the keynote. They're like, what? You're at the keynote? You never go to the keynote at AdTech. It's fluff. You got to be in here getting deals done. I'm like, oh, okay. Note to self. But yeah, so that was my kind of first experience to learning internet marketing from someone that didn't really teach me anything. And so let's define internet marketing. And I'm not going to go to Wikipedia and give you a definition. I'm actually going to kind of craft what I believe internet marketing is based on my experience over the last 10 years. And so internet marketing is also known as inbound marketing. A lot of brands and businesses use that. If you follow HubSpot, HUBSPOT, HubSpot.com, they like the term inbound marketing. They use it a lot. E-marketing is another term, web marketing, digital marketing. Some old school people call it electronic marketing. Whatever it is, this is what I believe it is. And this is my definition, that web marketing or internet marketing is essentially the process or system of building a profitable and online presence. Okay, so it's the process of working with your clients to help them to build a thriving, prevailing, and profitable online presence. And how do they do that? Is the big question, and the one that we're going to answer in our session today. And make no mistake, internet marketing services, and I'd put social media under that as well, is and will continue to be the most hotly outsourced service on the web today. Yes, there's design and development and other pieces, but for the virtual assistant or for specialists, being able to have the foundations of internet marketing and being able to stay current with it will position you well to offer real value added service to your clients. And so that's why this topic today is so important. So internet marketing in a nutshell really boils down to these two things. So if someone was to say, Craig, summarize internet marketing in 2 words, these would be the 2 words that I would say. The first one would be traffic. Internet marketing comes down to getting traffic coming to your web properties, whether it's to your Facebook page, to Twitter, to your Pinterest page, to your blog, to your website, to your squeeze page, to your sales page, whatever web property we're talking about, it needs traffic. Traffic's the lifeblood of any good internet marketing campaign. Without traffic, you cease to exist. And so some people may have great products and they might have great services, but they have a fundamental traffic problem that needs to be solved by getting highly targeted traffic to their different web properties. Okay, so this is an example of we talked about inbound marketing, another word for internet marketing. I'm not going to go through all these because I'm actually going to break it down much more concisely than this. But this is all the different things you might be able to do to try to get traffic to your website. You could do paid advertising. You could get really connected in social media and start driving traffic that way. You could do online events like webinars and teleseminars and Google Hangouts, podcasts. You could do really good SEO like link building. You could distribute videos through YouTube. You could build presentations on Prezi or slideshare.net and share it through the social networks. You could get connected with joint venture partners or affiliates who start promoting your stuff on the internet. So all of this, these are some examples of traffic sources that drive traffic to your web properties, whether it be your social media channels, your YouTube channel, your particular articles, your blog, your website, whatever that might be. So in order to be successful on the internet, you need to solve the traffic problem. Second of all, the second word, so the first word is traffic. The two words that define internet marketing success. You need traffic and you need to convert. The other problem people have is they might have some really good strategies on how they actually get eyeballs onto their website, visitors to their website. But when people arrive there and they check out their offers, they're just not too excited, so they don't convert. They don't sign up for their newsletter, or they don't opt in for a free offer, or they don't buy their product or take their training course. So those people have what we call is a conversion problem. So in order to be successful in the internet, in order to effectively help your clients, you need to address the traffic issue and the conversion issue. Once those are kind of moving on all cylinders, then you've got a really, fine-tuned internet marketing machine. And so this is a common, cycle or funnel for conversions. And this hasn't changed much over the years. This is kind of your average conversions. Some might convert higher depending on the type of audience that is coming. If it's your own email subscriber list, I would expect your conversions at the bottom would probably be higher than 5%. If it's a cold source, like let's say advertising or pay-per-click traffic where people have never seen your site before, then the conversions will be lower. So obviously you have to look at the warmth of the traffic source to see, to evaluate conversion rates. And I'm not going to get too mathematical here on you. Don't worry about that. I don't like math. So site visitors, on average, you will lose between 30 to 70%. I would say 70% is probably where it falls, where people will come to your website or they'll come to your client squeeze page and they will immediately leave without doing anything. Okay, it's a great loss to see those people gone into cyberspace, but that's the type of percentage. Then you'll get a certain percentage that are somewhat motivated and they'll browse around. They might check out your page. They might watch a video that you've done. And then you've got the waivers, the early waverers. Those are the people that kind of like your offer. They like the freebie that you're offering and they're still kind of processing and they're hanging around a little longer. And then you've got the late waverers, the ones that are like, do I want to pull up my credit card here? Do I want to give this person my email address? Geez, this looks like a good offer. What should I do? And then there's the people that ultimately convert. And so that's a good example of what us as business owners are up against when we think of all the traffic that's coming to our site. Once we solve the traffic problem where we have people coming to our website, then we've got to look at how do we improve our conversion so that we are converting more than 1 or 2 or 3% of the traffic that comes to my website. Okay, so these traffic and conversion is kind of the lifeblood of understanding internet marketing. Everything kind of evolves from there. Okay, so my simple goal for today, it might be an audacious kind of lofty goal, but is to give you a 30-minute master's level course on building a profitable internet marketing platform for any type of client. Okay, so we're going to do it in about 30 minutes. Let's see the time here. And you can hold me accountable. I might go a little bit over. But what you will learn here is, I say a master's level because this is basically 10 years in the making. And not only have I built my own businesses, but I've worked with a number of multi-million dollar clients that are in the internet marketing space. So I've been able to learn a lot from a lot of mentors as well. So I'm taking it all and I'm putting it into these 30 minutes. So definitely get your notepad out and let's go. Okay, so one example I want to talk about today as I kind of go through these seven different steps is a friend of mine that we got to know. My kids actually started going to their really awesome creative music studio to take piano lessons and voice lessons. A couple of them took voice lessons. And one day I was having a conversation with him, and people, you get to the point where someone asks you what you do, and typically they don't understand what I do, nor, or they quickly go, "Oh, that's interesting," and move on. But I was talking to him. I told him a bit about what I do, and this was going back about 2 or 3 years from now, or previously. And he was fascinated. Like, he was absolutely engaged about what I did. And to the point, he's got my email address, and asked if we could go for coffee and talk more about things. And so anyways, we showed up at the coffee shop. I showed up with him at the coffee shop, and we met, and he kind of laid out this idea that he had. He said, I don't really understand internet marketing, but I know what I want to do. And I want to take our studio. They had about 300 students, so they were a big studio. And I want to take a lot of these products, that these teaching courses and products that we've created, and I'd like to sell them on the internet. Can you help me? And I said, well, I think I can. And this wasn't like a paid thing. This was a friend, and we got to become good friends. And you know what? This is one of the most, like I said, I've worked with some pretty high level clients, dealing with really big budgets and things like that. And this client, who, I didn't charge him at all, was one of the most rewarding experiences that I had from a consulting standpoint. And so anyways, the long and the short of it is, he spent a year and a half launching Teach Piano Today. And I met with him for a number of times. We had a number of coffee meetings, and he'd come back with a ton of questions and would leave. And the wonderful thing about him and his wife is that they were doers. Like, he sat there on the edge of his seat when I talked, and he would absorb everything, and then he would go and apply it. And so just as I'm going through some stuff today, you want to be able to apply a lot of this to your clients for it to actually be effective. So I'm going to come back to Teach Piano Today, because they are real good. You'll kind of see their success story as we go along. Okay, so step number one is to develop a strategic internet marketing plan for your clients. That sounds kind of lofty, but what really does that entail? Well, basically, there's three different components or three steps to getting to that place. The first one is to do a business assessment, where you're basically taking inventory of what they've been doing, what types of stuff are they doing online, what kind of web properties do they have, are they involved in social media, do they have an email program that they've set up. You're getting all those, you're kind of assessing their resources, identifying their gaps, so you can kind of see where they're at in their marketing plan. This is something, obviously, we can go way more in depth with, but I'm giving you kind of a 20,000 foot overview. So you get an assessment to get a feel for where the client is, and then you do some serious market research. You need to find out what types of products in their space are people buying. What is the makeup of their audience? Where does their audience hang out? All of these kind of market research questions. Who are the competitors? What competitors are rocking it in that particular space? And so this is the kind of thing that I went through with the fellow from Teach Piano Today. I went through some assessment questions. I then encouraged him to research this, and that to see what the market looked like. And then from there, once we had that information, we were more informed, and I actually helped him put together a strategic plan, internet marketing plan for his business. So to take it a step further, so this is kind of internet marketing planning 101. So you start on the outside. So this is kind of concentric circles. You start on the outside with some questions. And I'll get to a few questions here in a moment. where you just sit, and I just sat with him in a coffee shop and I asked him questions. I asked him open-ended questions, and I just wanted to hear him talk. I did as little of the talking in that first hour as possible, as you should with your clients. You just want to hear from them. And we'll kind of unpack those questions in a moment. Once you get some of your questions answered, you can begin to kind of see what resources they have. In other words, do they have a good social media presence? Do they have an email list? Have they set up Google Analytics? You kind of identify their resources, as we call it, and you also identify their gaps. Okay, they're not doing any sort of affiliate marketing, so they have no affiliates or joint venture partners promoting their products. Could be a gap. They may have no presence in Facebook. Could be a gap. Or they never built an email list. Could be a huge gap. So the list goes on. So that at that point, you're beginning to see the resources they have, kind of their assets, and then their, if you want to call it, their deficits or their gap. And then obviously the third kind of inner concentric circle is market research. This is where you're researching the industry, you're researching the competitors to see what they're doing, you're researching related products, you're researching and hanging out in forums and social networks to see what types of conversations the market is having. Because you might want to write this one down, because this is about as important a principle as you could ever get, and one you want to impart to your own clients, and even if you're creating your own products one day, is only sell what the market wants. Okay, only sell what the market wants. You might be looking at that and saying, Craig, that's kind of no brainer. Of course, I'm only going to sell what the market wants. You would be amazed at how many high-level businesses put a great product in place, and they realize after they've spent a ton of money and lots of blood, sweat, and tears that, wow, this was a product that nobody actually wanted. I.e. green ketchup. Did any of you buy green ketchup from Heinz years ago? Would that be something your kids or you would want right now? An emphatic no. Maybe the purple one they came out with, but a green ketchup, dipping your fries in green ketchup. So if the big brands can even make mistakes with this thing, certainly small businesses and entrepreneurs can get so excited and get tunnel vision about the product that they have that they've never really done the research to identify, is this a product that would actually sell or that the market would want? And there's lots of ways to kind of pull out that information. We won't go into it all today. So once you've done the market research, then you come back with the client and you do some collaboration and brainstorming. You've got some data, some information, you've got some questions answered. Now you brainstorm and kind of dream and vision cast about what they could do with their internet marketing plan. And this is kind of a no holds barred brainstorm. You don't have to have it all together. It's just working with a client, maybe in a collaborative Google Doc or on a brainstorming session on a call or on a go-to meeting or whatever you're choosing to use, and just collaborating with them. Once you get that information down, then you start working with the client and saying, what are our strategic goals that we're going to accomplish over the next 90 days in order to realize some great internet marketing success, or help to push our business forward that much further. Okay, so this is a real simple example of kind of internet marketing planning, 101. But some of the types of questions, like I said, sitting across from my friend from Teach Piano today, these would be some of the questions I asked him. This is not an exhaustive list, but here's a few. Obviously, I think one of the first questions I would ask is, say, why do you want to invest your blood, sweat, and tears into this business? And I had, years prior had failed in a business. It had totally crumbled prior to VA Classroom, and it was devastating at the time. And so I was kind of speaking. I wasn't trying to give him a glass half empty scenario, because that's not who I am. But I wanted to give him a realistic picture, saying, you have to really believe in what you're doing, and you have to be willing to give it your all. And because it's gonna require tenacity, it's gonna require hard work, it's gonna require heaps of passion. So before you dive into this, are you ready to do that? And so we kind of had those questions and trying to get, so with your client, and this may be a client that's just starting off with a new product, or you may be asking them kind of in the past tense, saying, so why did you initially decide to invest in this business? Because what you're trying to tap into there is their big why. What really drives them? What's the underlying motivation? And once you can understand that, you'll be able to better help them build a plan that makes sense for them. Okay, hope that's clear. So the second question is, who is the target prospect and who are your potential competitors? So getting to know that audience, and some people call it the avatar, the person that your ideal customer. That's your ideal customer. Um, what age are they? Where are they from? Where do they hang out? What do they love? What are their pain points? What are their passions? What do they like? What do they not like? Getting to know the prospect so well um, before you even start talking about products, because sometimes when you identify, you get to know an audience so well, you start to see, they really struggle with this, or they really have a problem with this, or for example, our friends that have Teach Piano Today, they realize that the average piano teacher does not know how to market themselves. This might be obvious, but they struggle to get new students, and they would just throw an ad in the local yellow pages, and they would hope that people would find them. And they quickly realized, wow, there's so much more that can be done to market your business. And that was one of the areas of their business that they pursued, was kind of helping piano teachers build awesome businesses. Okay, and so getting to know the prospect, understanding who the other players are in the market, and then where does your audience hang out? Is there particular social networks they spend more time on? Is there targeted forums? The forums tend to be golden for gathering information about what they like and what they dislike. Go spend some time in even forums like vanetworking.com. If you want to find out some of the pain points and challenges of VAs, virtual assistants, you'll find it in that forum, because they'll be transparent and they'll tell you what's happening and what they like and what they don't like and struggles that they've had. All of that is good information as you're looking to build out a product or looking to market to that particular audience. Okay. So these are all really, really important questions. And then, I, was as talking to my friend, I said, how do you know your product is something the market wants? What makes you distinct? And he had a great answer. I remember him sitting across the table and saying, you know what? All the teaching on piano out there is stuffy. It's old school. It's been there and done that for years. I mean, and he said, you look at the way we run our studio. We're creative. We're outside the box. We're more concerned about our students, rather than getting their Royal Conservatory or getting the next level. We're more concerned that they leave absolutely passionate about music. And I was just absorbed. I'm like, okay, this guy's awesome. He's got this distinction he's making right away. And let me tell you, it's been one of the reasons they've been so successful, is because they knew that they were distinct, and they were able to enter the market and create something unique and special, which is pretty powerful. And then what are your current goals for the business? This is kind of, they may not have any real strategic goals at this point, but you're just trying to see, what do they have? What are they shooting for right now? And you can help them to determine whether those are viable goals, or whether they need to get a little more strategic and maybe a little bit more measurable. Okay. And then what resources do you have in place? Like, does the client have their website, social media? Do they have products in place? Do they have an email program in place? Do they have other staff that work with them? What are the current resources that they have available? And then finally asking them, if they're kind of further along and they've started their business, hey, what's going well and what's not going well? Okay, those are always really good questions to ask. So again, once you go through this process, you get to the end where you're starting and you're ready to, start defining some strategic goals for their business. All right, so let's move on to step 2. Once we've built out kind of a plan of where we're going to go, and we kind of know, we know a bit of a roadmap. We got a bit of a roadmap and a bit of a direction. Let's go out and build the online properties. Okay, and so basically, when you're starting out, or if the client's even early days, and I remember sitting across from my colleague, my friend, and him asking, where do I start? And I met with him when he had absolutely no web presence, zero. And I said, you guys have something so special to offer. You've got to share it, and you've got to share it through a blog. And you've got to start blogging and letting people know who you are and bringing your own distinct voice and your personality to it. And just, take the stage in that area and just own it. And they did. They really did, through videos. And I talked to them about using short videos, blog posts, and all sorts of different types of strategies. And so they created a blog. They set up a couple product pages. So that's a good first start, is to make sure that's in place. And then they set up a squeeze page. And squeeze page we could talk a lot about, but that's also known as a landing page. Some people call it an opt-in page. This is where people go to a page and they receive something like a free offer in exchange for their email address. Obviously, many of you have opted in to receive stuff, maybe from us or from others. But we're going to talk about this in a moment, but list building, email list building, is absolutely critical to being successful on the internet. If we hadn't built a list for ourselves, I don't know where we would be today. And so that's where I said to him, I said, when you're starting your business, you want to start right from day one and building your email list. So come up with a great free offer and start building your subscribers, whether it be a newsletter or whatever that might be. We'll talk about that more in a moment. So from there, and then get connected in social media. Get connected with a target audience that are interested in piano, that are piano teachers. We get connected with piano teacher type forums, as you probably are already, and find out what is going on. Get to know your target audience. Find out what's the struggles they have. And so he did that. He built his blog, set up the squeeze page, and he started getting active in social media and really just sharing content and asking questions. And wow, did they really take off? As an aside, he was a full-time school teacher and was just tired of it, did not want to teach anymore, and just wanted to do this full-time. And I'm happy to report, after, I think they've done it about a year and a half or 2 years, he's like making way more income now than he made as a teacher. Quit his job a year ago, and they sent us a really nice email not so long ago about just about how their journey's gone. And so, but anyways, this is where they started with their web properties. Okay, and so they set up their blog, and this is a screenshot from their blog, and they provide high value, interesting, creative content that people love. And they did a lot of it, and they used keywords so that they could start maybe getting listed in the search engines and things like that. So they had their blog. They set up a squeeze page. This was one of a few that they had, giving away a free offer, which was 7 free chapters from a guide that they have called Piano Hands Shouldn't Flip Burgers, which is an example of saying, piano teachers can actually run viable full-time businesses. They don't have to just do it on the side like a lot of people do. And so they had their opt-in, so they were starting to build their email list. And then they also set up in social media. And so they got active in Facebook. And again, they weren't using Facebook at all up to about a year and a half ago or 2 years ago. And now they're up to 3,000 likes. They've got lots of engagement. They're very active on that page, and they add a heck of a lot of value. And this week actually is the International Week of the Piano Geek. So yeah, you can see how creative they are and the cool things that they're doing. So they built their properties: the blog, the landing page or the opt-in page, and social media. Okay. So then from there, step 3 is to set up and manage the email list building system. Okay. So as I've said before, list building is so important to your overall success. And so I've always used the expression, and it's not mine, I stole it from somebody, that the money is in the list. And so you can, our business at VA Classroom has been so scalable because we've been able to build our email list. And without our list, it's probably our greatest asset. It really is. And for your clients, you can help them set up the email marketing systems that they need in order to effectively build their email list and ultimately grow their business. So this is an example of an email list building funnel that you might have. You might start by setting up a squeeze page or an opt-in page. You then go about and create a free offer, something that you think your audience might like or your client's audience might like. From there, you need to set up an email program. This might be Aweber or MailChimp or One Shopping Cart or Infusionsoft, whatever your clients are using or need to use. And as the specialist, as the internet marketing specialist, you go and you set that whole system up for them. So that's the big role that you play in internet marketing, is that you you become their systems person. You set up all their internet marketing systems so that they run smoothly. And one of them is obviously getting their email in place, getting their autoresponders, which if you're not sure what an autoresponder is, it's basically a sequence of automated emails that are sent out over a period of time. And then tracking email results through opens, click-through rates. So this is finding out, what emails are more popular. Which ones do they like? What are they clicking through the links in my email? You can track all that through a program, and this is something that you can set up. So early on, my colleague or my friend, I told him, you've got to start building your list, and here's some ideas for setting it up. And he's done an amazing job with building his list. So again, he had a free offer. As I said earlier, this was his Piano Hands Shouldn't Flip Burgers. He gave away the first 7 chapters. And again, it's absolutely key. In order to build your list, you need to have a great free offer that people are going to want to opt in and give you their email address. And so he had a great one and obviously built a great email list. Step 4 is to build and implement your content marketing plan. So content, we've talked about it before in other classes, but content is certainly king on the internet, and it still reigns in social media and in whatever you do. And so working with your clients, you need to help them set up their content plan and then help them distribute that content so that it goes viral, so that they get traffic to their website, and so that they start to see results in their game plan. And so this is kind of small, so you might have to squint a little bit to see this on your screen. But basically, here's 9 different types of content that you or your clients can distribute and create today. So obviously, blog posts are great. Social media updates is, and obviously you can integrate your blog with your social media content as well. Email newsletters, e-zines and email newsletters are still popular. Another great thing to build a list. PDF special reports. Giving away a free report on something is a great piece of content. Quality articles. Now, times have changed. I mean, people can't just send out thousands of articles, the same article, without potentially getting penalized by Google. It's all about sending out unique quality articles that people will read, people will share, and that will help you to get listed in the search engines. Videos through YouTube, sharing short little 2-minute videos, and the guy from Teach Piano Today, early on, he did that, and they pumped out a bunch of 2-minute videos. And I'll show you in a moment where their search listings are today for some really big keywords. Webinars and teleseminars. This was the kind of number one marketing strategy that I used when I started VA Classroom, was setting up and creating webinars and teleseminars and running them for free across the board because nobody knew who we were. And we got good visibility and provided really awesome content, and it led to a lot of subscribers and a lot of buyers of our products. Another great content source. Online presentations. This could be through slideshare.net or Prezi. Another great source, just doing presentations, even through PowerPoint, and just sharing them, sharing that content. And you can embed that content into a LinkedIn profile. You can share it nicely onto Facebook and Twitter. So those are some different types of content that kind of power your distribution system. Okay, and so this is an example, as I said, with Teach Piano Today. They really came out of the starter gates quickly by just creating a lot of video content. And so what you want to do is you want to look at your client and you want to talk to them and say, if they're not doing much of anything in terms of content marketing, that's a problem. So you want to look at these 9 types of content and say, where do you want to start? I know that we can't do all 9 effectively. It's just not going to work out. So what 2, maybe 3 can we target right now to help you get more visibility, more traffic, and more results for your business? Okay, so that's the type of question you want to ask as you're building out that content plan. All right, so step 5 is to optimize your online presence for the search engines. SEO is still so important. People, when you search stuff, I mean, obviously most of you still go to Google. It counts for like 85% of all searches right now, almost 90% of all searches. And so it's still important. It's still an important thing for us to get listed in the search engines. It's not easy. It's not as easy as it used to be, but it's a very important process. And a lot has changed over the last number of years with Google. And that's a whole nother conversation, but there's a great opportunity still to get listed in the search engines. And so just real quick, I want to give you a quick kind of snapshot of the difference between search engine optimization and social media optimization, which is also known as SMO. And the reason I want to is because social media and SEO are so integrated now that Google loves it when a blog is shared in the social networks and retweeted and pinned, and Google adds weight to that. So if they see someone sharing social content, they're saying, this must be a credible piece of content. And they add weight to that, and that increases the likelihood of getting listed in the search engine. So social media and SEO are no longer exclusive. They're integrated in every sense of the word. And so SEO is typically creating your website or your content according to search engine rules, which obviously change all the time. Whereas social media optimization is about driving traffic to your website through third-party channels like Facebook, like Twitter, like Pinterest. In SEO, keywords are critical, and obviously content is critical as well. With social media optimization, content is king. Are people going to share content they don't like? Not a chance. So the content has to be really good. With SEO, it's a long-term strategy to build up kind of that authority and to get more listings for your particular domain. With social media optimization, you can get going quickly. You build up a following, you start sharing some content, you start dropping your blog posts in every once in a while, and you start getting traffic to your blog. It can happen quickly, but both strategies are important. With SEO, you can actively search for related sites that would link to yours. I mean, that's ideal, is getting high quality sites that are in your market that will link back to you. Link building is still important with SEO. And with social media, links come from success. As I said, if your content's awesome, people will share it, and more people will link to it and pass it around and like it. SEO is a solo act in terms of what you need to do to improve your rankings, to get your website listed higher for particular keywords in Google. With social media optimization, it totally is dependent on your tribe, on on other people that your friends and your colleagues in Facebook, your likers or your followers, that they like your content enough to share it. And so it has to be good. So content is 100% king, and it's what drives all search engine marketing strategies. And there's so much that you can do with your clients in helping them build their search engine visibility. Now, going back to teaching piano today, the kind of case example we've been talking about, check this out. When I started with them a couple of years ago, they didn't have a presence. They didn't have one listing in Google. Because of the content they've created and the long-term strategy, SEO, and social media strategy they put in place, teaching piano, for all of you, if you look up the search volume and using a Google keyword tool, it gets 200,000 searches a month. 200,000 searches a month for teaching a piano. They're the number one listing. I started looking at a ton of their keywords: how to teach piano to children, how to teach piano to beginners, all number one listings, because they built out a serious content marketing strategy, and they implemented a lot of the SEO stuff that we talked about. And so what I am teaching you, and what you can learn from us, will help your clients do similar stuff to this. It doesn't mean they're all going to hit the number one listing, but using some of these strategies are going to really, really help them along. And so I'm thrilled to see that they get so much natural, we call that organic traffic to their business, that they're not at all paying for. So a search engine marketing funnel or strategy might look like this. You do some really good keyword research. So you find out, using a variety of keyword research tools like the Google research tool or marketsamurai.com, other ones like that, keyword discovery, things like that. Word Tracker is another one. You use some keywords tools to find out what are people searching for. A good one is just when you go to Google now, and the Google Suggest feature. So when you start typing in a search, you'll see Google's already suggesting things to you. They're suggesting things that people have already searched for. That's a good starting point to start gathering keywords that might be relevant for your client. So doing good keyword research is so important. Doing good competitor research and seeing what competitors in our market are really optimizing their site and their content for the search engines. Find out where they're at and how far ahead they are from, and how hard it's going to be to catch them. Um, then the whole content piece, we talked about those 9 types of content, taking the content and creating it and distributing it, because that's obviously going to help with the search engine listings. And then socializing your website. So that's making sure your content can be liked, can be shared, can be pinned, can be retweeted. So the more that is done, the more weight that Google will place on your website, because when people share it, Google says, it must be good. Okay. And then, and that's changed over the years. Google used to have their algorithm purely kind of on link building. Now Google definitely brings into what do other people think about your content, and that's reflective in how people share it. Okay. And then tracking your search engine rankings. So using tools like Market Samurai and others to find out, if you're listed at number on the 10th page for this particular keyword, teach piano, how to teach piano, where are you the next month? And then where are you the next month? So you can start to see incremental growth as you move up to the number 1 page. And the reality is you want to get on the number 1 page, because the percentages of people that search the second and the third and the fourth page significantly drops off. It'd be ideal to be getting those first top listings. And it can be done with a really good content and an SEO plan, which we'll talk more about here in a moment. All right, step number 6 is to recruit and build your business, build your affiliate and joint venture partnership programs. Now, you might have the question, what is the difference between an affiliate and a joint venture partnership? Well, first of all, they both mean basically recruiting people in your industry to promote your products and services, and then you give them a commission. You give them a revenue share on whatever products you sell from their site. Okay, so that's basically an affiliate marketing relationship. Now, at VA Classroom and a lot of businesses, people distinguish between affiliates, who is anybody that can promote the website, that fill out the application and they put a banner on their website, or they send out a little email to their list, or they tweet it used to their followers. A JV partnership is someone that you work closely with that tends to be your top affiliate, and one that you want to build a solid relationship with because they drive a lot of traffic to your business. We have a few of those. And so those are what I would call joint venture partners. There's an invested interest in that relationship. And so when you're working with your clients, this whole step and this is a step, the reason I included it as number 6 is because it's not one to do out of the starter gates. Setting up your blog, getting your squeeze page set up, getting, starting to produce some content, starting to get your social media set up. That's important. Once you get established and you've got products that are selling, then you build your partnership program, because that's when you start to put your traffic on steroids, because you're starting to go to partners that have big lists. They've got big subscribers. They have a targeted following that they're going to send to you and get a revenue share, get a commission as a result. Really, really powerful stuff. So basically, an affiliate partnership strategy might look like this. You build relationships with some key joint venture prospects. You look at your industry and find out who are the key players. You then recruit those JVs, get to know them, get connected with them, comment on their blogs, become someone that becomes visible in their eyes, and recruit them for maybe a new product launch that your clients are doing. You select the program that you're going to use, the affiliate program that you're going to use to power this partnership and to run the system. And then you prepare the marketing materials. This could be banners, this could be email ads, this could be sample blog posts, this could be sample tweets, this could be videos, things that you can share with your audience that they can use to drive traffic to your product and your launch. Provide ongoing communication with affiliates. It's so important to obviously nurture that relationship. And then once you've been working with them a while, you want to evaluate your top affiliate partners and focus on that 20%, that whole 80-20 principle. Focus on the top percent that are driving most of the traffic and conversions to you and your clients' products. So that's kind of a real quick strategy. And there's so many more details that I can fill in there. Okay, moving to the final step here. And I know I'm over my 30-minute commitment to you of, I think I'm about 40 minutes or 35 now of this master's level course. Step 7 is to measure and track your results using web analytics. Um, the web analytics is basically your compass. You will never know where you're going in your business unless you have been able to evaluate it with website analytics. I'll never know how much traffic's coming to my site. I'll never know how many people are bouncing and leaving my pages. I'll never know how many people are converting and what percentage they're converting at. All of that data helps you course correct. It helps you improve. It helps you get better, so that you are. This is all about conversions. That whole second part of internet marketing. One is traffic. Affiliate partnerships drive traffic. Web analytics help you improve conversions. And you could find out, wow, maybe that video on that page, nobody liked it because they all left the page without opting in or without buying. You start to get that information and it helps you make incremental improvements in order to grow your business. And web analytics really overwhelms a lot of entrepreneurs. And they would be quite happy to pass that on to you as their specialist to help them set it up, help them create reports so that they can monitor and improve their performance. And this is a huge, huge service. And some of you may not be well versed in analytics, and this is something that I've done a lot of, and I'll be talking more about here in a minute. So this is a screenshot from Google Analytics. Google Analytics is the free tool through Google that is so robust and so effective and has improved so much. And it's basically all your clients would ever need to use. And then a web analytics strategy might look like this. You set those business goals. So do they want to sell more widgets? Do they want to get more newsletter subscribers? Do they want to, get more memberships? What is the goal? Once you know the goal, then you set up and integrate Google Analytics on all their pages, on their blog or on their website, and then you monitor and track the traffic and the conversions. How much traffic is coming, and the ones that hit the website, are they leaving and running away, or are they converting? And that's all information you can find in your strategy. And then once you know that, you then work with your client to make those changes and improvements. And it can have profound impact on their revenues and on their long-term viability. That's how important web analytics is. Okay, so important, and so many entrepreneurs either don't have time for it, or they just get freaked out about it and don't do anything with it. So something to keep in mind. Okay, and the bonus step. So that's 7 steps, and I guess the 8th one, if I was to add one, would be to work with your clients to target cost-effective advertising, online advertising channels. If they have a budget to do things like Facebook ads, Twitter ads, Google ads, which are increasingly more expensive, targeted e-zine or forum ads. If you're like my colleague that's in the piano space, an ideal ad for him would be to be one of the banners that might be in one of the targeted forums for the piano space. It's just a real targeted advertising channel, and it could be relatively low cost. So that's another way to solve that whole traffic problem. And that targeted traffic is by doing some real strategic advertising, being mindful of their budget. But if they have a budget, then that's something you may add to the mix. Okay, so that's the summary. That's the 7 steps. You start by building a strategic plan. You build out their web properties, typically a blog, a squeeze page, and social media. You set up their email system for them. You help them implement their content plan and then distribute it for them. Could be setting up a YouTube channel for them. Could be distributing their articles. Setting up their blog. Setting up their social media or their search engine plan. Doing the keyword research and helping track their results. Helping to recruit and build joint venture and affiliate partnerships so they can get more traffic and more targeted traffic coming to their website. And then measure, and track results with that web analytics. Those are the 7 steps of this 30 or 40-minute master's level program. And you can post your questions that you might have on that. But in the meantime, obviously, I'm passionate about this topic, and I've just scratched the surface on what someone needs to do from start to finish to get visibility and grow an online business, or to get an online presence. Now it's time to take your learning and skills a big step further. And I want to actually introduce to you a new program that we're launching. And it's going to take those 7 steps and it's going to kind of turbocharge them and put them into a really workable system that is going to basically help you. You're basically going to leave with a system that you can take and implement with your clients. Implement with clients that are just beginning to launch a new product, or they're halfway through it, or they're in the midst of a business. You're going to become one of their greatest assets and resources because of the new skills you're going to learn and the services that they need to help drive their internet marketing systems. Because at the end of the day, they just don't have time. And when I worked in a company a number of years ago, we had about 40 staff, and I was responsible for hiring every one of them. And I was responsible for training every one of them. And there was a lot of virtual assistants, and I had created these internet marketing programs to give them kind of a blueprint on how to get started and how to understand internet marketing. And that actually became the catalyst, or the triggered the idea for VA Classroom, because we saw such a need. There was so many support tasks that needed to be done on a daily basis to drive our internet marketing systems. And one that I didn't even talk about is e-commerce. E-commerce, setting up e-commerce shopping carts, is another piece that drives the internet marketing system. And so basically, our program is going to be a 5-week course. It starts on April 29th. It's basically going to be 2-hour live training sessions. If you took our social media program, it'd be similar to that. We'll always have recordings available for you if you're not able to attend every session. And as you may know, we break those sessions down into bite-sized pieces so that for future, you're not trying to wade through a 2-hour video. You're looking at 20-minute videos or 30-minute videos. So making it much more digestible. We'll have group coaching calls where you bring your questions and we dive into things. We will have a tutorial library. So all kind of the technical tools, you're going to be able to get full access to my toolbox that I have built up over the years. And I'm going to give you demos on a lot of these tools that your clients need to use or they need to implement. And that'll be a part of our tutorial library. And then also there's going to be membership in our private Facebook group, which will be a great place to engage and just discuss internet marketing and help you work with your clients so that you're successful and they're successful. And then obviously there's going to be a certificate of completion as kind of to showcase your professional development. And that's important, obviously, for your clients to see that you're honing your skills and you're upgrading your skills. All right. And as in terms of an upgrade, I know some of you previously took an internet marketing program for us. This is 100% new course, started from scratch. So it's an awesome time for you to upgrade. Lots has changed, and this will help you to stay sharp in what you're offering. So some different modules. Module 1 is going to be kind of the building blocks of building of creating a powerful internet marketing platform. What does it look like? What are all the systems involved? And then module 2 is building a profitable email list building and marketing system. So we're going to show you how to build a list, how to put the systems in place so your client can kind of let their email marketing go on autopilot a bit. And then we'll talk about building a content marketing system and the role that you can play in helping your client get maximum distribution for all the content that they're creating. Because so often your clients might create really great content, but nobody's looking at it. Nobody sees it. How do they get that visibility? We'll talk about that in module 3. And then module 4 will be all about search engine marketing. We'll integrate SEO and SMO, social media optimization, and show you a system that you can build with your clients that they will love you for. And then module 5 is all about getting those JV partnerships, building your affiliate marketing system, the types of programs to use, how to set it up, and then measuring. The last one will be Google Analytics. So how do you measure everything? How do you get your sites in a place where you're analyzing them, you're tracking them in a way that's not mind-numbing. As you know, if anyone has taken a course from me before, you know that I will speak in plain English and I won't get too techy on you. But a very important part of the program as well. And then in addition, a couple other bonuses. Bonus number 1 we're going to be offering is an Internet Marketing Services Builder webinar. So we're going to show you kind of right from the ground up, how do you actually build out this service that you will then promote and present to your clients. Very important. We did a Google Hangout on one of our last courses. We're going to do it again because it was so awesome. And we'll bring in a panel of people that are offering really awesome internet marketing services right now. and you're going to be able to learn from some of the best people besides myself. And also, bonus number three is choosing the right e-commerce system for your clients. And so this is going to be a webinar that's going to talk through a number of the systems that are out there today and how do you choose the right one at the right time for this particular client. A very important discussion and a real critical webinar. And those are three bonuses that are part of the package if you sign up for it today. All right. So, whoops. With that being said, let me just go back to our final page here. So again, join us in this 5-week adventure. If you took our social media course, you'll know the kind of value that we bring to the table, and we will certainly over deliver. And internet marketing is very much in my wheelhouse, and I love and I can really help you scale up your business and offer a really good service. And if anybody that knows me, I mean, I'm driven by seeing that you're successful and that you have. That this actually increases your income, that you're adding more, you're bringing more income to your family, that you're offering a service that's going to sustain you for a number of years in this space. Because as you know, this industry, the VA industry, evolves quickly, and so you have to tap into the specialties and the areas that are going to make you money, that are going to help your family and things like that. So the site is right there, vaclassroom.com/IM 2013. Definitely go check out the offer. It's going to be a killer course. If you want to build your business, there's no better way than taking this program today. And starts in a week or so. So I definitely sign up early. Our registration will be limited, so you want to grab your seat as soon as possible. So it's vaclassroom.com/IM 2013. All right. So go ahead and check that out. But in the meantime, I would love to take any questions that you have on anything that we talked about, or I'm just seeing, saw a couple of people lost audio throughout. So go ahead, post any questions that you have. I'd love to help out with anything that you're doing right now in the internet marketing space. Okay. Elizabeth just asked, will there be a recording of this? Definitely, Elizabeth. Yeah, we'll be sending out a recording, full webinar recording of this. It's being recorded right now, and you'll have access to that shortly. Okay. Someone's saying they'd like to get a copy of the graphics. Yeah, we'll put it in a PDF and send that out along with the presentation, along with the video as well. Okay. Looking at some other questions. Question Christine had in this program, will you actually show us how to design a squeeze page and how to connect it using autoresponders? Absolutely. It'll be either in the 2-hour program, weekly program, or it'll be covered in a particular tutorial that you'll have access to. And we will talk about the different squeeze page platforms like Optimize Press through WordPress. We'll talk about Premise and a couple others. So you'll have some different options that you can show with your clients. And then we use Aweber ourselves, and we use One Shopping Cart, and we'll show you how to link the two. And if you're working with a client that's committed to building their list, this could be a service you do all the time, where you're setting up squeeze pages, you're setting up their autoresponder system to kind of connect and start building their list. So yes, big part of the program for sure. Yeah, and I'll show you. Yeah, you also asked, how to set up a string of autoresponders. Yes, we'll go through that demo. We'll talk even about some best practices for the type of content your client can include in an autoresponder, because some people make the mistake when they create an autoresponder, someone opts in for a free offer, they immediately start selling them stuff. And that's a real wrong strategy, because you haven't built a relationship with these people. You haven't built any trust. And so why are you selling at them in the first email? And so it's important to kind of build that relationship. And there's ways to do that using autoresponders that kind of builds trust and leads them potentially to be a future buyer. Someone asks, is this different than the old internet marketing course? 100%, 100% different. Yeah, it's it's based on a lot of work that I research and stuff, and even work that I've done with a client in the last year or two. And so you're going to get a lot of it's probably my whole 10 years wrapped into this program, but it will be as good as any internet marketing course you've ever seen. And interestingly enough, one of our students from our past internet marketing course had considered taking I think it was like a $6,000 course through the University of San Francisco. And I don't know if she did take it or she reviewed the curriculum or she heard from somebody, but she'd actually said our program was better. And so what I'm offering it at, the rate is extremely low. It's real cost effective, and I've always made our programs cost effective. People say I could charge a lot more for them, but I'd rather make them something that you can get into and you could start using these services right away. Okay. Yeah, someone's asking about Market Samurai. So it's let me put it in here. It is Market Samurai, like a samurai warrior, sent to all.com. It's one of the premier keyword research and search engine kind of tools to access. I use that. I use Google Keyword Tool as well. Someone asked, what can you expect to charge for these types of services? I know some colleagues that have been doing this for a while, and a number of them will be on the Google Hangout, and we'll be able to talk about this. I know one's around the $55 to $60 an hour mark on an hourly basis, but then her packages, because she's become so good at it, her packages, she does a lot of packaging, and she ends up backing into $75 to $80 an hour or more, just because of the way she's packaged her stuff, and she'll talk about that. She'll talk about that in one of our sessions. Okay, just looking at some others. Yep, someone's just asking, will you offer the course again? Yeah, not sure. I mean, it depends on how this one goes and how it flows. But this is currently the only time that we're offering it. Will we offer it again? Potentially. But yeah, a lot of the stuff is current and right now, and I would definitely, yeah, if you can and have time, this would definitely be a good time to take it, and especially doing it live with the Facebook group is going to be pretty enriching. All right. Good. Well, hey, I know there's a bunch of comments here, and I want to respect your time. So definitely, if this interests you, if you're wanting to kind of specialize, and even some of you that might be doing social media type stuff, let me tell you, social media and internet marketing are very integrated. So building an email platform so you can set up a squeeze page within Facebook is very, very critical. So having the internet marketing foundation and then melding that with social media, it's a killer service. It will make you it will give you an edge over most people to be able to have that. And the way we're going to present it to you is in such a way that you can kind of take the systems and steps and directly apply it. It's not like a lot of theory where you have to kind of dissect it and try to figure out what to do with it. We'll definitely make it as applicable for you and practical for you as possible. Okay. Last question is the time the class takes place. Yeah, it's at 12 Pacific, right in the middle of the day. The reason we do that is because we have an international audience, and that's usually at night for our European audience. It's bright and early for our Australian and New Zealander audience, and then it's kind of midday for our other audience. So that's why we've chosen that date. All right, great. Well, hey, thanks for sticking a little bit longer today. I hope you got a lot of information. I hope you could even take those 7 steps and start applying them right now. But if you want to take your learning a lot further, definitely go to www.baclassroom.com/IM2013 and look forward to catching up with you soon. Have a great rest of the day, everyone. We'll talk to you soon.